Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader and tonight we're going to focus on the Egyptian unwavering support to the Palestinian cause throughout the ages, and more specifically and more recently, ever since the aggression that took place on the October the 7th by the Israeli forces against Gaza, and the implications and the warnings made by the Egyptian side, more specifically on Friday, against the attack, the potential possible attack on the side of Rafah as well in Palestine and the Palestinian territories. But we will be starting straight away with the main top story for tonight that took place on Sunday, as Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli met with the members of the National Dialogue's Board of Trustees. Attending the meeting were the Dialogue's General Coordinator, Diya Rashwan, its Economic Access Rapporteur, Dr. Ahmed Galal, and its Technical General Secretary Councillor Mahmoud Fawzi. During the meeting, Prime Minister Madbouli praised the National Dialogue's general and specialized discussion sessions in drafting the priority map of the national action for the upcoming phase. Madbouli pointed out that President Abdel al-Sisi gives special importance to the national dialogue and directs the government to translate its recommended plans into actions. The Prime Minister also called for forming a joint coordinative group from both the government and the national dialogue to follow up on the implementation of the dialogue's first phase sessions, which concerned the ministries as well. We will be heading to the first report of the Daily Debate for tonight, and it focuses on the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel al-Sisi over the past week. In the upcoming report, stay tuned.
President Abdel al-Sisi inaugurated Egypt Petroleum Show, Egypt 2024. President Abdel al-Sisi met with the Chief Executive Officer of BP, Mr. Murray, at Chinaklas on the sidelines of the Egypt Petroleum Show, Egypt 2024. President Abdel al-Sisi received a phone call from the Prime Minister of Belgium, Alexander De Croo. The call touched on the outstanding bilateral ties between the two countries, as well as Egypt's ties with the European Union, in light of Belgium's assumption of the EU's rotating presidency last January. President Abdel al-Sisi met with the leader of Iraq's National Wisdom Movement, Ammar al-Hakim, and his accompanying delegation. The meeting was also attended by the Director of the General Intelligence Service, Major General Abbas Kamel. President Abdel al-Sisi received a phone call from the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim. The two sides lauded the positive dynamic in Egyptian-Malaysian bilateral ties over the past years. President Abdel al-Sisi received a phone call from the King of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, His Majesty King Abdullah II Ibn al-Hussein. President Abdel al-Sisi received the President of the State of Eritrea, President Isaias Afwerki, at Al Ittihadiyya Palace, where an official reception ceremony was held. The national anthem was played and the Guards of Honor was inspected.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and we will be heading to the second report of the Daily Debate for tonight and for the episode, which focuses on the main topic for the program for tonight. And it speaks about the warning by the Egyptian side against the possible offensive against Rafah and the Palestinian territories, and more importantly, calling by Egypt to be having an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. All this and more in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
Participating in the International Court of Justice (ICJ) advisory opinion on Israeli violations in Palestine on Wednesday, Egypt said Palestinians under Israeli occupation have endured forced displacement, collective punishment, indiscriminate violence, and daily human suffering of untold proportions for 75 years. Yasmin Musa, legal advisor in the office of Egypt's foreign minister, made the statement on behalf of Egypt's delegation. Egypt's representative said Israel seeks through its annexation policy. Egypt has reiterated its call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza after the U.S. vetoed a UN Security Council resolution drafted by Algeria warning of the catastrophic dangers of Israel's declared plans to attack Rafah. The statements were made by Osama Abdel, Egypt's permanent representative to the UN, during the UNSC session. Although 13 members of the UNSC have voted for the Algerian drafted resolution fully backed by Arab and Islamic groups at the UN, yet another glaring example of double standards at the American delegation for the third time obstructed the UNSC attempt to issue a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. In his speech, Ambassador Abdel expressed the Egyptian delegation's further frustration over the United States' continuous hindrance to efforts directed to cease hostilities, thereby failing in its entrusted duties to maintain peace and international security. He said, "Where does this American vote stand regarding catastrophic humanitarian suffering in Gaza after 20 weeks of war? How does it go with our call for an international community based on rules where we can encounter nothing but deaf ears? Isn't the UN Secretary General's invocation of Article 99 of the UN Charter a call to action required by the UNSC? Isn't the decision of the International Court of Justice, which called for specific measures, a clarion call for an immediate ceasefire?" Abdel wondered at the session. The Egyptian ambassador added the information from the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the World Health Organization, and the UNRWA reflected the disastrous humanitarian situation in Gaza, especially at the borders with Egypt in Rafah. He wondered if these facts were not sufficient to persuade the American delegation to vote for a ceasefire after 140 days of war, during which over 30,000 people, mostly women and children, have lost their lives in this unjust war on Gaza. Abdel affirmed Egypt's commitment to exerting relentless efforts on all fronts to stop the bloodshed, end the war, and restore security and stability of both Palestinians and Israelis as per international legitimacy resolutions, along with establishing an independent Palestinian state with its capital in East Jerusalem. Moreover, Egypt is seriously mediating with the United States, Qatar, Israel, and Palestinian side for the swift release of detainees, captives, and Palestinian prisoners. It also works diligently for the utmost delivery of enough humanitarian aid to end the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza and save lives of Palestinian brothers under the cruel siege of Israeli occupation. Egypt also rejects all Israeli attempts to displace Palestinian people or liquidate their noble cause forcibly. Egypt again is warning of the catastrophic dangers that would afflict our Palestinian brothers due to declared Israeli plans to invade Rafah and deteriorating regional situation as a result of the continuous war.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Nabil Abdel, the strategic planning expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for you.
Anytime.
It's my pleasure being with you and the audience.
The pleasure is all mine. Doctor, of course, we will be focusing on the meetings that took place on Friday in Paris, in France, to be discussing the possibility of an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, a prisoner swap or a prisoner exchange between Hamas and the Israeli forces as well. How would you see the importance of the participation of Egypt alongside France, the United States and Qatar in it?
Actually, it's a very small part of the role which is Egypt actually playing since long time right now. It's a crucial part, a crucial role, which is trying to be, Egypt has been always a part of the solution for the Palestinian case. But recently there has been a political game from US and Israel having Egypt as an opponent, not as a part of the solution. They try to make it a part of the problem. So, but Egypt has succeeded actually during time for being committed to its major role and being a part of the solution. All the efforts are being done over there, trying to intermediate between parties for reaching out to a very safe solution and permanent solution, trying to be a permanent solution for the Palestinian case, starting by the ceasefire required.
Yeah, speaking about the possibility of a solution, what is the importance of reaching one before the holy month of Ramadan, especially that we are about a couple of weeks to be going into it?
Firstly, Ramadan, month of Ramadan is a holy month. It has it's a very special occasion for the Muslims, for the Arabs. In the meantime, the Palestinian territory and Palestinian people, especially living in Gaza and in Rafah right now, they are suffering actually from being starved, from lack of water, lack of supplies, lack of medical supplies, lack of food, lack of everything you can imagine for having an indignity life. So the importance is trying to firstly, to lower down the pressure on the Palestinian people because they are the victims here. In the meantime, trying to reach to the temporary solution, which Egypt is trying to make it a part of the permanent solution later on.
Yes, on Friday we have seen some statements by the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying that the U.S. would be opposing the reoccupation of the Gaza Strip and the reduction of the size of any Palestinian territories. How do you see the importance of such a statement coming from the United States regarding the practices of Israel nowadays?
From my own point of view, this is a permanent a dirty game. I consider it a dirty game from U.S. as always being played. It's a game being played between U.S. and Israel. Even they have accused Egypt for a couple of weeks ago or something that Egypt is preventing the aids which is required for the
by the statements of the American President Joe Biden.
So whatever they say, it's a political game. They try to say something, but in the meantime, they are supporting Israel and everything. But Egypt's role here is very crucial, actually. Egypt's state is working very clear. They know the way. They try to avoid whatever distortion or distraction on the way for having such solution.
You think that the talks that took place on Friday in Paris would be leading to the withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the northern Gaza Strip?
Later on, maybe according to the total points which is being negotiated or discussed right now between the conflict parties in such area, Israel, Hamas, Palestine, and so on. But the first and important issue of fact right now is to have a ceasefire for a period of time, a fair period of time, for giving all the parties, the other parties like Egypt, Qatar, US, as paving the way for a better understanding for a permanent solution for the two-state solution.
Yes, earlier on in the month of February, we have seen another round or a previous round of talks between the parties of the conflict and the aggression, of course, by the Israeli forces against the Palestinian territories and Gaza in specific. Do you think that those talks could be leading or could be depending on a prisoner exchange between both sides to be leading to a prolonged or an extended period of ceasefire?
It may lead to that, but actually this is a political game. Israel is playing as they used to do. They used to have severe aggression, and in the meantime they come in and out from negotiations and discussions for having the best or the optimum advantages for themselves. But at the end of the day, the only solution and the permanent solution should be based on a two-state solution, a two-state admission for both Israel and Palestine.
Yes, and regarding this solution, how do you see the importance of the role of the international community to be pushing for such a solution, especially as you mentioned that the United States, for instance, could be speaking one thing and doing the exact opposite of it, as we have seen over the past week, the veto that was applied by the United States against Algeria.
This is again a political game. They are trying to. U.S. is always trying to play with Israel. Even it has been said right now that and spread everywhere that Israel is ruling and governing U.S. even. And Israel may be able to fulfill the U.S. dreams. Sorry. Based on this, I believe that the international community has a very moral role in that situation. They have to stop publicly and under table for or hiddenly from supplying Israel by weapons, by necessary support, and actually few countries from worldwide community, they have started to declare that they are against such aggression which is happening, which Israel is doing right now and practicing right now. And even inside the U.S. itself, the U.S. country itself, United States of America itself, lots of states over there, lots of people over there are showing that they are against such aggression and such inhuman practice from Israel against Israel. So the international community has to stop supporting Israel by the real support they are doing publicly. And second, they have to stop providing Israel with weapons, with financial support, with military support. They have to stop that, at least to show a kind of ethical support for the human basis which we are talking about.
Ever since the Israeli aggression started on October the 7th against the Palestinians and more specifically in the Gaza Strip, we have seen the efforts made or exerted by the Egyptian side to be setting up camps and about 400 tents in the city of Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip to be serving about 4,000 people on the ground there. How do you see the efforts on the ground by the Egyptian side, not just about diplomatically or politically or just having a crossing of Rafah to be distributing or to be transiting the aid coming from all over the world to the Palestinians, but on the ground itself, how would you assess the efforts made by Egypt on the ground for the Palestinians?
This is a pride, actually. Pride for us as Egyptian people and pride for the Arabs, that Egypt is here, Egypt is there in the middle of the conflict, in the middle of the battle, and the aggression is happening over there. Egypt is existed and practicing its role at its best, as always, all over time, although all the economic disasters which we are experiencing from Suez Canal, from tourism, and whatever for the hard currency, although all this, Egypt is still practicing its role at its best.
On the other hand,
that means Egypt is strong.
Yes. On the other hand, why do you think that the other states, the other countries, are weak in serving assistance to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip?
This
Why
is
is
again,
it just Egypt that has the same role all over again?
that would tell you the lies of U.S., for example, when they say that they are supporting the two-state solutions. They are pressuring, or they are putting pressure on Israel for stopping such aggression and violation is happening over there, and they are practicing. And it shows the difference between whomever is doing well and doing the right role for the Palestinian people and Palestinian state, and the other countries whom just are talking. So this is again, it shows that Egypt has been committed to its role toward the Palestinian case.
It's not just about the states or the countries, it's also about the efforts of the UN institutions and authorities like the UNRWA, for example, which has had a limited role in terms of assisting the Palestinians, because we have seen over the past couple of months Egypt setting up a field hospital in Deir al-Balah, for example, in the Palestinian city of Rafah as well. Do you think that Egypt could be not taking up the role of the UNRWA, but it could be assisting the UNRWA in helping and serving the Palestinians in this crisis?
Actually, it is taking the role of UNRWA right now for the time being. It is not assisting, because UNRWA has been all the assistance, the financial assistance and financial support from what countries like US, UK, Germany, and other countries whom are supporting and considered a joint supporter for such organization. But currently, they have cut off all the financial support needed, medical support, whatever kind of support they are cutting off from UNRWA in Gaza. So Egypt is taking place the actual role over there. So Egypt is doing everything, as you can see, from medical to humanitarian to political to financial, economic. Whatever requires is being done by Egypt. Although, again, all the economic losses we are facing right now, according to such situation and such.
Yes,
case.
and regarding the crisis in Gaza, about 85% of the 2.4 million population of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are currently internally displaced. What does this mean for the neighboring countries, for the region in general?
Very obvious that it means nothing, but all such population, when they are in such dimension of space on the borderline of Egypt, although this, Israel has been always, till the moment, declaring that they are going to face, they are going to start military invasion for such part. Pretending and claiming that there are few military people from Hamas, from Gaza, from whomever they would like to chase. But Egypt is always having the burden for such Palestinian people in Gaza, whom are on the borderline with Egypt, of course.
Yes, on Sunday, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry participated in the high-level segment of the 55th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council. And of course, we have seen the statements made by the Foreign Minister in previous sessions and in previous meetings all over the world regarding the forced displacement of the Palestinians and the negative repercussions of the situation in Gaza, of the situation in the Palestinian territories in general, on the neighboring countries. How do you think this could be changing the situation for the Palestinians, for the Gazans, and maybe changing the idea about what is going on in favor of the Palestinians for the entire world?
Let me tell you that since 2004, Egypt is taking that role, but still, to be forced, there must be a decree from the United Nations for stopping all such aggression and such games being played by Israel and the other countries. So Foreign Ministry Sameh Shoukry is, as a representative for the Egyptian state, is trying to tell the whole world again and to remind the whole world again, please have your responsibility. Try to commit yourself to the with the international community for having a decree from the United Nations for stopping whatever Israel is doing. Please take responsibility humanitarian, take responsibility ethically. This is what Egypt is always trying, but it's being faced most of the time by the veto, either from US
Yes.
or from other countries. Although US recently has been voted with veto that it will not be discussed, although Hungarian requests for having a UN decree for stopping Israel. But again, international community must, Egypt is always trying to remind the international community, please take your responsibility, we are here. There is a big problem. There is a serious problem over there, but this is what always Egypt tries to do.
Yes, as you've mentioned, Doctor, Egypt is always trying to be reminding the other countries, the international community, of the bloodshed that is going on in Gaza and the genocide that is going on in Palestinian territories all over those decades. On the other hand, do you think that those denouncements made by Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry on the international arenas could be halting the bloodshed by the international community anytime soon?
I hope it will do that, because when you talk about 30,000 mortals and almost 70,000 injured from Palestinian people, and I don't believe that such people or such international community cannot see that. So Egypt is always trying to do its role without being lost in the middle, without being distracted. Hopefully by repeating again and again and again that request along with the Arabs, because Egypt should not be stating that only by itself, but should be supported by Arabs. Hopefully one day it will, they will support.
Yes. In the past week, how did you see the speech made by the Egyptian representatives before the International Court of Justice in The Hague regarding the Palestinian cause in general and the situation in the Gaza Strip in specific, especially that Egypt has raised the opportunity to be speaking about the forced displacement of the Palestinians in general over those decades, and even more recently, ever since October the 7th, and that Israel is trying to be changing the demographics of the Palestinian territories. How did you see the speech of Egypt?
It is the strongest at all times. One of the best arguments has been done for by the Egyptian legal advisor, which is representing the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Egyptian state, the Egypt state. It was very clear. It has pointed out for the main points and the crucial points which the international community and International Justice Court for a decree also, and support for the Palestinian people, and consequently to be a step for having a permanent solution. It was very important and very crucial, of course.
Yes, Doctor, you mentioned a key word here. We need a permanent solution for the crisis, for the Palestinian cause in general. Why do you think that it is always being mentioned to be having a humanitarian ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire, not a permanent or a halt to the violence all over the situation? Why do you think it is more about a humanitarian ceasefire for a couple of weeks as it happened before?
A humanitarian ceasefire is a step, one of the important steps, because such conflict has been since 1948.
Yes.
And now we are in 2024. So having a permanent solution, it doesn't come all of a sudden in 1 year or even in 1 month. So keep repeating, we need a permanent solution. Still, in the meantime, we are trying to have a temporary ceasefire for humanitarian reason. That would be step, and then to be followed by other steps later on for giving the political discussion, political negotiations, and politics and politicians and states politics worldwide and worldwide community to start to having pressure over Israel and other parties for the sake of the permanent solution. It is not an easy job doing that, especially in politics, especially while you are having a country like Israel is playing everywhere, is doing whatever it wants. They are doing whatever they want, and they think they are above the international law. If the international community has stopped supporting them, if Israel started to find that there is no enough support from international community, and it may be happening right now with, through a few countries in Africa and worldwide country, in Western Europe, and in a few voices inside the US, even I believe that would happen.
Yes, you've mentioned other countries that are trying to be having a humanitarian ceasefire like Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. Recently, they have managed and succeeded in passing a resolution to the United Nations Security Council to be having a humanitarian ceasefire, to be getting the aid needed for the Palestinians and for the Gaza residents. How do you see the importance of coordination between countries like, for example, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, Egypt and Qatar, like, for example, the talks that took place on Friday for the best interests of the Palestinians and, of course, to be ending the bloodshed?
That's exactly what we need. That's exactly what we need from the Arab world. We need the full support from Arab countries, and whomever the country is, we need the full support of them for supporting Egypt's situation and supporting the Palestinian case, the Palestinian state, the Palestinian people. If the Arab countries has been united for calling for such humanitarian ceasefire, we will succeed one day. And as you can see, the Western world or the Western countries are unified by supporting. They have been unified by supporting Israel. If the Arab world has been together with Egypt calling for the same issue for Palestine, I think it will work. So it's very important working, yes, cooperating with the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, whomever the country is, whatever, that will support very much.
Over the past months, we have seen a temporary ceasefire or the humanitarian ceasefire to be exchanging prisoners or swapping the hostages between both sides. How do you think we could be leading this humanitarian ceasefire into a complete halt to the bloodshed?
When we get a longer humanitarian ceasefire,
yes,
when we get a longer time for giving the opportunity for politicians from worldwide countries, from US, from Western countries, from Arab world. On top of them is Egypt, of course. When we have enough time and when we have a solid base for a fair discussion, fair negotiations between parties, that may be fulfilled at that time.
Egypt has always called for the right for the Palestinians to be having their own state with East Jerusalem as its capital upon the 1967 borders. Do you think that the current situation has extinguished the prospects of having a two-state solution?
Yeah, it is. It is. It has done, yeah. It's very clear right now that this is the only solution. At least there is a point, an official decree from UN, and based on that decree, I think that would be a very good point to start with, regardless what games, what unethical games Israel is playing right now with their supporters.
Do you think that the Israeli side and the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, could be changing his mind after the end of the current situation and to be negotiating the peace talks and giving the Palestinians their own state?
Actually, the Prime Minister of Israel is he cares only about his own interest,
yes,
in being a Prime Minister forever, according to his situation with the community of Israeli people. In addition to the extreme government which is being right now in Israel, the problem is always with the extremists from Israel, whom are ruling and governing Israel right now. They are looking for their own political interests only, not anything else. But still, there are good voices and logic voices over there whom are requiring and they are welcoming the two-state solution for Israel and Palestine.
Recently, the CIA director, William Burns, has said that Egypt and the U.S., they have a strategic partnership, and he has highlighted the ties between both countries, and more specifically regarding the situation in Gaza and the role of Egypt regarding the situation in Gaza and halting the bloodshed. How do you see the bilateral ties between Egypt and the United States in this specific region?
He's very right. This is a strategic partnership between Egypt and U.S. Egypt is the biggest and strongest country in the region. Regardless all the differences or whatever is not agreed upon between two countries, but Egypt is a really strategic partner for the Middle East, especially for U.S. and also for your strategic location. So this is real. When he said that, when he announced that it's real, it's real. But the most important, or more importantly than this, is trying to put such fact on the ground to reach to a reliable solution for that case. Because if this has not been solved, it's not going to be a conflict between two countries. It's going to be a regional disaster.
How would you describe the efforts or the actions of the American side, especially that they are encouraging talks on the one hand, as the ones that happened in Paris involving Egypt, Qatar, and of course the Israeli and the Palestinian sides, alongside the United States and France. On the other hand, they have this complete support to the Israelis.
Actually, this is the usual game which U.S. and other countries and international communities also are playing all the time. They are working parallel in all aspects, in all directions, in everything, for trying to reach to the best interests of Israel. But at the end of the day, we have facts here that this conflict will not be resolved unless there will be acceptable two-state solution in any way the Palestinian state would accept and Palestinian people would accept. This is for real. Otherwise, if you can see Iran from one side, Israel is expanding the conflict with Iran, with Lebanon, with Syria, and maybe with Jordan one day, who knows. If it has not been resolved, actually it will be a regional disaster for the whole region.
It's not just
and
about...
that would make a big loss for the international community, the Western countries, U.S. countries, and so on.
Yes, the Western countries, that is one of the key words, because we have spoken about the United States and their actions and their efforts to be supporting Israel against Palestine. On the other hand, they are trying to be having talks and reviving negotiations between both sides. But on the other hand, the Western nations, including Europe, for example, it is just against the Arab states, as the Arab states, they are trying to be reaching a solution. They are trying for a two-state solution for both countries. They are trying for an immediate ceasefire and an exchange of prisoners and the swap of hostages between both sides. But the Western countries, they remain supportive of Israel. Amidst all of that, why do you think the United Nations, they haven't intervened and called for an immediate ceasefire between the Israeli aggression and, of course, the fighters of Hamas?
Because the Western countries with U.S., they have the veto right. So whatever solution you are raising to have a real decree, actually, you may be faced by veto,
yes.
Like what happened from the States when Algeria has presented a resolution to be issued from UN.
Yes, Dr. Nabil Abdel, the strategic planning expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
That pleasure was mine. Thank
Anytime.
you. Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching and goodbye.